Hello and welcome to my guerrilla basement rock and roll show, the Hellion Rebellion Rock and Roll Association, brought to you by yours truly, Hollygeist. Uh, okay, I have a band that I want to show you tonight that I've known about since the '90s, mid '90s. Um, I rediscovered them about a month ago, and there's kind of a story that goes along with all of this. So I'm trying to figure out it in my head how to talk about this story. So in the early '90s, you really start getting this alternative rock movement. I mean, it really starts in the late '80s, in really early '90s, 90, 91, but by 91, 92, it's full steam alternative rock. Uh, Nirvana's on top of the world, Smashing Pumpkins, all those bands. Finally, these bands are getting, radio airplay and recognition and that sort of thing. And but there were all these other bands that came along that people have forgotten about. Um, I was a fan of a band called the Laws, and to this day, if you own that original Laws record, whether on record or CD, I think that thing goes for some money. I also liked another band called the Lightning Seeds. Uh, they had they were one hit wonders in, I don't know, 92, 93, something like that. And they were both English bands, kind of precursors to Britpop or things like Oasis. But because of those two bands, I learned of another band called the Icicle Works. And I thought it was a really intriguing name. And I was like, "Oh, I gotta find some Icicle Works." These guys like the Icicle Works. Maybe I'll like the Icicle Works. So at this time period, I have a pretty healthy collection of CDs. And to this day, I probably still have more CDs than I do records or tapes. And also at this time, I'm one of those nerds who would buy, Maximum Rock and Roll, Flipside. What was another magazine I really liked? Thrasher. I was still into Thrasher at this time. Uh, and you always have these record companies who are like, hey, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope and we'll send you a sampler of our records. Send us a self-addressed stamped envelope and $1 and you can get this compilation. So, I had tons of compilations from Theologian, Empty Records, Recess Records, Epitaph Records. I mean, you name it. I probably have samplers and compilations from all of these companies. It was cheap. It was a cheap way to get music at the time. The other thing is, magazines would to get you to buy their magazines, they would put a free CD in there. So that's why I have a lot of Profane Existence magazines, Terrorizer, Decibel. Well, those are the three I bought the most of. But if I saw a free CD with a magazine and it looked pretty good, I'd buy the magazine, even if it wasn't something I would normally buy. So I'm looking for the Icicle Works in whatever compilations I have. And I find one from Mojo magazine that I bought. And this Mojo magazine was all about honoring the birds. And I was looking through the free CD, and I'm like, oh, I do have some Icicle works. Well, let me listen to it because I don't remember it. And it was incredibly avant-garde. It was very strange. It's one of my favorite songs on that CD. And I kind of just left it there. I was just like, well, okay, maybe they put out an album somewhere in the mid '90s, and they just went on to the Lightning Seeds and the Laws. Never thought about it ever again. A month ago, I go to a record convention in my city. It's rare for me to get out and do something like that, but I went and bought a bunch of records, and I found this one. If you want to defeat your enemy, sing his song, which is essentially the same thing as fighting fire with fire. And I'm like, oh, the Icicle works. I remember really liking that one song on that compilation I have. This is one of those. This is one of those '90s bands that people forgot about. Yep, this is how goofy I am. I get this thing home. I'm starting to look at it, and I'm like, wait a minute. These guys are from the early '80s? Are you serious? That's how old these guys are? I had never in my life heard of this band in the '80s, or even the really early '90s. So I'm already kind of shocked. I play the record, and I'm kind of blown away because it's like it's a Duran Duran record. It's a Pet Shop Boys record. It's a Tears for Fears record. It's that kind of music that's coming out of this, and it's nothing like the song that's on this compilation I have from '93 or '94, '95 or whatever it is. It's really good song. They're really great songs for this kind of music. I'm shocked that I didn't know who this was. And I'm talking about a month ago. So, Icicle Works, they get started in 1980. They would go on to about 87 to 88. They were very popular in the UK, apparently. They only had one or two big songs in North America. They would break up in the late 80s, reform, and go on to about 89 to 91, and they would break up again. After that, they wouldn't get back together until Wikipedia said 2006, and they are still together today now. One of their original members has passed away in 2024, which I'd have liked to have known that because I would have done a tribute. And they are now a duo. So, the Icicle Works is from Liverpool, England. And that is the same town that brought you horror writer extraordinaire Clive Barker, the man who wrote Hellraiser and Nightbreed. And there was a really big band that came out of Liverpool back in the 60s, but for the life of me, I don't know why I can't remember their name. They supposedly played music 8 days a week. I don't know. But Icicle Works, they're from Liverpool. So, that's all I know about the band. I'm shocked that it took me this long to figure this band out. And the fact that they even charted with songs in the 80s. Like, I've never heard the name of this band. I've never heard this on the radio in the 80s, the 90s. But there you go. I mean, sometimes you just don't know it all, right? Um, and I listened to a lot of, pop rock radio in the early 80s. I listened to, radio stations who were playing Duran Duran and Michael Jackson and Eldebars and Animotion and OMD. I listened to a lot of that in the early 80s before I got into, metal and punk. So I'm kind of shocked that I don't know this. But this is an amazing record, and I'm going to go ahead and play one of the songs that did chart in the United States and Canada, apparently. Though I don't remember it. It's a beautiful song called Evangeline, and that's what we're going to do tonight. Thanks for being with me. There you go. The Icicle Works from Liverpool, England. Great. They are a great band. Uh, I love that guy's voice. It's almost like it's if Bruce Springsteen had an English accent and he was singing for Duran Duran or the Pet Shop Boys or something. I don't really know how to describe that. Uh, I love the guitar sound in that as well. Um, Great band. I will be collecting more of this. Thanks for being here with me tonight, and I hopefully will see you next week. Peace.